All right, so today we're diving headfirst into LTIMindtree's Q2 FY25 Investor Presentation. Fresh off the press, actually.
Yeah, we're talking about really getting under the hood of their performance, going beyond just the raw numbers and figuring out what's actually driving this company, especially for those of you, following the tech sector and the global market.
And like always, we're playing it straight down the line. We're sticking to the facts, just pure, unadulterated insights from LTIMindtree themselves. This is their official report.
Think of it this way. We're your guides,
Yeah.
leading you through all this financial data and highlighting the parts that really matter.
Love that. So let's kick things off with the big picture, shall we? LTIMindtree is definitely on an upward trajectory, wouldn't you say?
Oh, absolutely. The revenue growth is really something. We're talking a 5.9% jump year over year, and that's in U.S. dollars. If you look at an INR, it's even higher, like a solid 7.7%.
Which is pretty remarkable, honestly, given the, current economic landscape. The tech sector's had its fair share of turbulence lately, so to see LTIMindtree not just writing it out, but actually exceeding growth expectations, that's impressive.
Yeah, it really is. And they're not slowing down. They had a quarter-over-quarter bump of 3.2% in USD as well.
So it's not just a fluke then, they're building momentum. But of course, revenue is only part of the story, right? What really matters is profitability. So how's their EBIT and PAT looking?
Well, both are headed in the right direction, which is always encouraging. Their EBIT came in at 14,582 INR million.
So that's a 2.5% increase year over year. But what I'm really zeroing in on is their EBIT margin, which held steady at 15.5% for Q2. In this market, maintaining that kind of margin is no small feat.
Right. It tells you they're managing costs well and they're not budging on their pricing, even with all the uncertainty out there. That's huge.
It speaks volumes about their resilience and, frankly, their discipline. Okay, but let's talk about the bottom line. How about that, Pat?
They hit 12,516 INR million in PAC for Q2 FY25, a very respectable 4.7% jump compared to the same period last year.
And their PAT margin. Did that move much?
It actually inched up a bit to 13.3%, which tells me their profitability is strengthening. Basically, they're squeezing more profit out of every rupee of revenue, which again points to a tight ship, operationally speaking.
Right. Efficient and effective. Okay, so the big picture looks promising, but we like to dig a little deeper, don't we? Let's peel back those layers and see what's really fueling this growth. Where is the revenue coming from in terms of different industries and geographies?
Well, the report actually breaks it down really nicely for us. It's clear that their strongholds is still the banking, financial services, and insurance sector, BFSI. That makes up a good chunk of their revenue, 35.6% for Q2.
Makes sense. BFSI has always been their sweet spot. But are they overly reliant on BFSI or are they branching out? Because diversification is, well, it's crucial, especially in such a fast-moving sector like tech.
Oh, they're definitely diversifying. And that's actually one of the things that makes me, optimistic about their future. While BFSI remains important, they're seeing some serious growth in other areas, especially the technology, media, and communication sector.
So they're not putting all their eggs in one basket. That's reassuring. But what about geographically? Any particular region they're overly dependent on?
North America is still their biggest market, no doubt. It represents a whopping 75% of their revenue. So that's something to keep an eye on for sure.
Yeah, any instability there could have a ripple effect.
Exactly. But they are making a conscious effort to expand their presence in Europe. They're starting from a smaller base there, but the potential for growth is definitely there.
So it's good to see that they're not putting all their eggs in one basket, so to speak. They're spread out across different industries, different parts of the world. Makes a lot of sense. But let's switch gears for a second. The report also gave some really interesting insights about their client base. What jumped out at you?
You know what I found really refreshing? Their transparency.
Oh yeah.
A lot of companies, they'd be, hesitant to share too much about how much their revenue depends on a small number of clients. But LTIMindtree seems very open about it.
I like that. Builds trust, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially in this industry. Relationships are key.
So what kind of details did they share?
Well, they weren't afraid to say that their top 5 clients, they make up a pretty sizable chunk of their revenue, like a
Yeah.
little over 28%, actually.
I was just gonna say that does seem a little high, doesn't it, to have, so much writing on just a handful of clients. Could be risky.
Yeah, I mean, it's a valid concern for sure. But here's the thing. They also shared that they have over 390 clients and each one of those brings in at least $1 million in revenue.
So they've got a good mix then, big players and then, a broader base. That's good risk management. But I'm curious, what about the overall size of those clients? Are we talking like mostly huge corporations or is there a range?
Yeah. They've got a pretty healthy mix, honestly, which to me says a lot about their kind of strategic flexibility. So in that $1 million plus category, they've got 392 clients. But if you go up to the like $20 million plus, that number drops to 88.
Okay, so smaller.
Yeah, and then the big leagues, the $50 million plus clients, they got 12 of those.
So they're playing the field, huh? Got their toes in all the different pools. Smart. All right, well let's shift gears again and talk about their people. A company's only as good as its workforce, right? And in tech, talent is, well, it's everything.
Couldn't agree more. The report highlighted that at the end of Q2 FY25, they had over 84,000 employees, which is pretty much on par with recent quarters.
So no big hiring sprees or mass layoffs. Seems like they're focused on maintaining a solid, sustainable workforce. But one thing I always look for is their commitment to diversity and inclusion. I mean, these aren't just buzzwords anymore, are they? They're crucial for success in today's global landscape.
And it seems like LTIMindtree gets that. Women make up over 30% of their workforce, and they're actively trying to increase that number, particularly in leadership positions.
That's great to hear. But it's not just about hitting a target, right? It's
Yeah.
got to be about fostering a culture where everyone feels, valued, respected, no matter their gender, background, beliefs.
For sure, for sure. And it sounds like LTIMindtree is walking the walk, not just talking the talk. Like, they've actually tied their ESG, their environmental, social, and governance performance to executive compensation.
Wow. That's a bold move. It shows they're serious about making real progress and holding their leadership accountable. I like it. Now, before we get into their ESG initiatives, you mentioned client wins earlier. Always love a good success story. What stood out to you?
There was this one partnership with a big energy company in the U.S. That one really caught my eye.
Why that one?
Well, LTIMindtree is providing them with this whole suite of services, everything from cloud management to infrastructure modernization, cybersecurity, you name it.
That's a big win, especially considering how much the energy sector is changing these days with renewables and all the focus on decarbonization.
Exactly. It seems like LTIMindtree is really positioning themselves as the go-to partner for companies that are, navigating this new landscape.
So they're not just, riding the wave of digital transformation. They're the ones steering the ship.
Exactly. This deal, it really showcases how good they are at providing those end-to-end solutions, which is, gold for companies that want to simplify their operations, speed up their digital transformation.
Makes them a one-stop shop, essentially.
Pretty much, yeah. They're not just offering piecemeal solutions, they're becoming like trusted advisors almost, helping companies navigate all these complex changes in tech and in their industries.
Yeah, exactly. They're becoming that essential partner. But it's not just about the bottom line, right?
Yeah.
We talked about their ESG initiatives earlier. What's the real story there? Are they like fully committed or is it just for show?
I'd say they're definitely walking the walk here. Like, they've set some pretty aggressive targets. For example, they're aiming for net zero emissions by 2040.
That's a big one, especially in tech, which, let's face it, can be pretty energy intensive.
Exactly. But, anyone can set targets. What's important is, are they actually making progress?
Yeah.
And it looks like they are. They've already started making some real headway in reducing their carbon footprint.
How so? What are they doing?
Well, for starters, they've got all these initiatives to conserve water, boost recycling, and they're shifting to renewable energy sources as well.
So they're tackling this on multiple fronts, not just, cherry picking.
Right. It's a holistic approach. And get this, they're not just looking internally, they're also working with their suppliers to lower their impact.
Smart move, because supply chains can be a huge factor when it comes to environmental impact.
Huge. It's all connected, right?
Yeah.
You can't just focus on your own little bubble.
Exactly. But with all these goals, all these initiatives, it makes you wonder, does it affect their bottom line? Can they be sustainability champs, A&D financial powerhouses? Is that even possible?
$1 million question, right? But here's the interesting thing. I think LTIMindtree might actually be proving that it's not an either-or situation. That by integrating sustainability into their overall strategy, they're not just reducing risks, they're actually opening up new avenues for growth, new innovations.
Interesting. So it's like good for the planet, good for business.
Exactly. It's like they're energy-efficient solutions, right?
Mm.
Not only are those good for the environment, but they're attracting clients who care about that kind of thing. And that boosts their bottom line. It's a win-win.
Love it when that happens. They're doing good and doing well. It's a powerful message, and honestly, it's refreshing to see a company that actually puts their money where their mouth is.
Couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
And it shows you their long-term vision. They're not just thinking about the next quarter, even the next year. They're playing the long game. They want to be profitable and sustainable for years to come.
Now that's a company I can get behind, both as an investor and just, ethically speaking. Well, there you have it. We've really dug into LTIMindtree's Q2 FY25 performance, gone beyond the headlines, and explored the strategy that's driving their success. So, what resonated with you? Do you think LTIMindtree is on track to become that digital engineering powerhouse they're aiming for? Something to think about as you navigate your own investment journeys. Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep diving deep.